Savory Cantarella will row your enemies, and today I'm gonna tell you how to build her best. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. So what echoes does this alluring slurpy lady desire? None other than 5-piece Midnight Veil. This will easily be your best in slot in teams where she's supporting a Havoc main DPS. The 10% extra Havoc damage bonus is excellent for her, and providing your Havoc DPS of 15% extra Havoc bonus on top of the 20% that she already provides on outro is absolutely excellent. You get the best of both worlds here, supportive capabilities, and an increase to your personal damage. Great stuff. 5-piece Moonlit Clouds is another fantastic choice for her. This will be good across all of her teams, not just her Havoc teams. She can offer 22.5% attack on outro of this set, which works sublimely with her. After all, as it currently stands, every powerful main DPS in the game that we have as of now can appreciate such a large attack percent boost. 5-piece Empyrean Anthem works excellently too, as while it provides slightly less attack percent than Moonlit Clouds, it boosts the damage of coordinated attacks as well. Considering that the set's effect procs whenever a coordinated attack is triggered, and Cantarella procs those frequently, you're able to utilize this as a versatile option with ease. 2-piece mix and match sets include 2-piece Havoc percent and attack percent. As for her main animal, well, for Midnight Veil you can choose between Lorelei or Nightmare Impermanence Heron. Lorelei offers the Phasalia Lady 12% Havoc and basic bonus. Cantarella does a solid amount of basic attacks, making her the superior option over Nightmare Heron. That's because Heron provides 12% Havoc and heavy attack boost. You can't do much of the heavy bonus on her, but the Havoc percent is still great. A good alternative. On Moonlit Clouds, you use regular Impermanence Heron so that you can cast it before she uses her outro skill, offering 12% damage dealt increase to the next unit that swaps on field. Heck, it will be your best in slot if using Empyrean Anthem, since it offers 40% more coordinated attack damage bonus. As for Cantarella's main stats, simple. Go for 4 cost crit percent, 3 cost Havoc percent, 3 cost Havoc percent or ER percent, 1 cost attack percent, and 1 cost attack percent. You either go for ER percent if you aren't getting enough of it from substats, or Havoc percent if you are. Otherwise, her cost setups are what you'd expect them to be. As for Jellyfish Lady stat goals, simple. Go for 145% ER, 1,800 attack on both a 4-star and a 5-star weapon, 70 to 220 crit on a 4-star, and 70 to 290 crit on a 5-star. Most 4-star weapons feature an attack percent main stat, with 5-star weapons featuring a crit percent main stat, which is why the attack stat is the same for the both of them. You want to aim for 140% ER to ult consistently every rotation. Those crit stats should be easily achievable in their respective weapon rarities. These rankings only account for Cantarella's personal damage. Her set choices completely change depending on what you personally need out of her, so I wouldn't solely count on these rankings. Consider what team you're actually using her in. As the feared Bane, Cantarella needs the right tools in order to do her licking activities. What'll those lollipops be? None other than Whispers of Sirens. You obtain all the buffs that this weapon provides naturally as you play her, making it feel super smooth with her kit. And the stats that are offered are nothing short of incredible. A ton of crit damage, some Havoc Resignor, and even some lovely basic percent. Certainly Cantarella's finest weapon pick. I'd like to add that even if you already have Stringmaster or another 5-star Rectifier, her signature remains as being a worthwhile upgrade to pull for. Rhyme Draped Sprouts, even with a singular stack, ends up being our second best in slot. Crit, basic percent, and attack percent, along with the fact that the Phasalia Lady is actually able to reap some excellent benefits out of the passive, as she herself can cast her skill up to 3 times. Lovely stuff. While the legendary Stringmaster may not be as strong as their signature option, it still remains as a legendary stat stick. It offers our Phasalia Lady plenty of positive qualities: crit percent, universal damage bonus percent, and attack percent. Her signature offering Havoc Resignor is why it's so much better than the fabled Stringmaster. However, you'll still get excellent kilometerage out of this particular Cantarella choice. Luminous Hymn works fine on her, but it'll be one of her worst limited 5-star weapon options. You only get 36% crit rate and some attack percent out of the passive. All of the Spectral Frazzle related buffs don't really do anything for her, because she has nothing to do with that particular negative status, or negative statuses in general. Cosmic Ripples isn't bad on her either. The energy regen is actually very appreciated, considering her 145% ER requirement. The stackable basic percent does a lot for her too, with the attack percent also being an absolute treat. The weapon is standard as well, making it a permanently available option. Well worth it if you don't have any of her limited 5-star weapon options. All other attack stick options will work fine on her. Upgrading to any of the 5-star choices will be a huge increase, as you would expect. While her signature weapon is really worth it for Cantarella specifically, I wouldn't go out of your way to chase after it if you already have another 5-star Rectifier that you can slot on her. Her personal damage, while good, isn't vital to the point where you'd want to spend all of those additional Astrites. Yet who shall be joining the Phasalia family? Well, her absolute best install synergy will be with Hyper Dungeon. This is because of her outro skill being absolutely perfect for her. Havoc percent and skill percent boost. An absolute dream combo for Dungeon Hyper enjoyers. She isn't going to be the strongest Dungeon teammate in general, as that would still be Havoc Rover. However, if you want your Bloodthirsty Lady in specific to deal high damage, then the Phasalia Lady will absolutely be your best bet. While most mains of this character tend to prefer more intensive, low HP gameplay, casual donjon mains are gonna thrive, because Cantarella is able to heal you up during your rotation. However, playing this red-haired cutie patootie as an on-field DPS tends to drain a whole lot of her HP, so you'll still have to put effort into learning this team. All previous donjon hyper teammates absolutely pale in comparison to the Phasalia lady, and with Cantarella by her side, she ends up being one of the strongest 4-star DPSs in the game. While she was already a contender for such a title, the Phasalia lady only solidified that role even further. Great synergy, and the best way to use her as of now, not to mention how she frees up Rover for other synergies, such as Phoebe Spectral Frazzle teams or other Havoc Rover teams. Speaking of which, Havoc Rover can also employ the Phasalia Lady's services effectively. While they'd rather utilize Donjon or Sanhua for top performance, they can still absolutely appreciate the use of his tongue-inclined jellyfish. There's enough skill damage in his kit for him to appreciate the skill amp that Cantarella provides, and the Havoc amp is very useful for him in general. You can use this as a means to easily free up your Sanhua if necessary. Lovely team. Characters such as Carlotta and Jinchi also benefit from the existence of this Jellyfish Lady. Both of those powerful main DPSs, even if they have nothing to do with Havoc damage, do indeed appreciate the skilled damage amp. So even if Cantarella is not an absolutely ideal choice for these units, she's still a very good one. In the Montelli Lady's case, you want to build a bit more energy recharge than usual on Carlotta to make up for the fact that Cantarella's energy generation is so low, and you miss out on bonuses such as Judge's I4 or Yang Yang's outro skill. In Jinchi's case, she builds up Forte stacks from teammates doing coordinated attacks, which Cantarella does indeed do, making her an excellent substitute teammate for Judge or Yinlin. This means that you can more comfortably salt the silly painter with your Montelli Lady, while not leaving your Jinchi in the dust for accounts that may happen to have both. I personally prefer recommending Sanhua, Donjon, or Roshia for Camellia, as all that Cantarella gives the Crazy Lady is 20% Havoc Amp, which a literal 4-star can do just fine, but it's still a viable option if you want to use them together, whether that be for the sake of having 2 insane waifus in one team, or for the sake of vigor management. Your final slot teammate can be either Shorekeeper, as always, for her amazing crit buffs that derive from her Stellar Realm, or Verena, for her fast rotations and excellent attack buff. As always, Baichi is your free-to-play friendly option. Yet how exactly do you make this elegant Jellyfish Lady work? Well, her rotation in all of her teams goes a little something like this. Intro, basic attack, ultimate, skill, heavy attack, basic 3 times, skill, user echo, then swap out. This will be consistent across all of her teams. I'm gonna mention this again because I really want to drive it home. Make sure you have enough ER%. It's very important considering her poor energy generation. You also want to use her last 2 enhanced basics after using her skill during the first rotation specifically, because she isn't getting the 12 Concerto energy from her other teammates casting their echoes on the first rotation, but in every other rotation afterwards, you can cut out the green part of the rotation. Otherwise, this rotation is very easy to follow. Yet how does this elegant Phasalia work? Well, her basics deal 3 simple Havoc Strikes, nothing else to add here. As for her skill, at base it'll deal a simple Havoc Strike. There's more to it, but we'll touch on that when we arrive at her Forte circuit. For now, let's talk about her Resonance Liberation. She'll attack the enemies with Havoc damage and then apply Diffusion to all of her teammates. This means that whenever they attack, Cantarella will then also do a coordinated attack along with them. It works basically the same as Judge's ultimate. As for Cantarella's Forte circuit, well, whenever you use her heavy attack when her Forte bar is full, she'll enter an enhanced state where her basics are now enhanced. When these enhanced basics hit enemies, she'll heal all of her teammates and consume a point of her enhanced Forte. Her skill will be enhanced as it will now count as an Echo skill. When she attacks enemies in an enhanced state, she sends them into Hazy Dream, which reduces the movement speed of enemies. If you cast her intro skill, she'll enter Abyssal Rebirth, which allows Cantarella to recover 6 energy every time an Echo skill is used. Considering that 3 of her abilities are considered Echo abilities, and she'll benefit from her teammates using their Echoes in subsequent rotations, this aspect of her Forte is actually pretty useful. She can have up to 5 points of regular Forte at once. She gets points from using her intro skill, basic stage 3, using her skill, or even getting 3 from using her liberation. As for Cantarella's intro skill, she'll intro in and deal some Havoc damage to enemies, and if you hit her basic attack shortly after you cast her intro, she'll land her level 3 basic attack, generating her an unenhanced Forte stack. This is how you'd practically be using it. Her outro skill will provide a 20% Havoc and 25% skill amp. Naturally, this makes her excellent for units such as Donjon, and will make her a viable choice for any future skill or Havoc users. As for Cantarella's inherent skills, well, her I1 increases her healing bonus by 20%. Self-explanatory, need I say more? As for her I4, casting Echo skills gives her 6% extra Havoc damage bonus with the ability to stack up to 2 times, so that's a free 12% Havoc damage bonus for her. Good stuff. As for her Forte priority, simple, go for this. All of her relevant scalings lie within her Forte circuit, so make sure to prioritize leveling it up first. Her liberation is never a significant portion of her damage output, so don't ignore it either. All the rest of her abilities can be tossed to the side. Do you wish to pay for the Vesalia's services? Well then let's talk sequences. This increases her personal damage by a good amount, but the extra trance point isn't as significant as you might think it would be, since it doesn't really change her main gameplay, but the additional scalings are lovely. This will allow her ult to send enemies into Hazy Dream as well, while increasing the power of the damage ticks that proc on hazied enemies by 245%. Good stuff. This allows her to enter her enhanced state after casting her liberation, while also massively increasing the damage of Cantarella's liberation by 370%. I'm gonna be real, Chief, the extra healing bonus isn't all that necessary. Only get this if you're on the way to S5 to 6. This increases the amount of coordinated attacks that she does with her liberation. This isn't a humongous increase to your damage output, but it's certainly a nice bonus. Nothing that I'd chase after on its own. This S6 will increase the damage multiplier of her enhanced basics by a sizable chunk, while also having her liberation ignore a large amount of enemy death for 10 seconds. While this S6 is certainly strong for the character, you're better off into getting sequences for the like of Carlotta or Camellia. You should only really get this if you're super into Cantarella as a character. Because if you're a whale, I'd say it's always more worth S6ing DPS options as opposed to second slot teammates. Granted, if you've come this far, that's probably because you're more interested in kissing her more than anything else. Her high asteroid-based investment lineup isn't bad at all, but they're not necessary for the type of character that she is. I'd get her signature weapon first if you really want to upgrade her personal damage, then consider looking into Cantarella sequences. I wouldn't go beyond S1R1 if I were you. It's either that, S3R1, or S6R1. But this character will serve her purposes perfectly fine down at S0R0 in my opinion. I'm fairly pleased with Cantarella. Strong, elegant, and a dungeon buff. What more could I possibly have asked for? I do feel that she's not exactly gotten her complete team yet. There'll still be more to come in regards to her later down the line, that's for sure. But in any case, I'd say she's solid as of now. She can serve you fine, but is absolutely skippable. I'd say she's a character to pick up on rerun in all honesty. Or if she's your absolute favorite best girl of all time, you can just get her right now too. That works as well. But what do you think about Cantarella? Does she live up to your expectations? Let me know down below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturdays, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so that we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to get your Cantarella licking her enemies until they melt. This has been Juice, signing out, and let me ask you this. Montelli or Phasalia? You can only choose one. Whose side are you on?